and the self-worth. So when we began as new teachers, we began to rediscover ourselves, and we looked at the things that were missing within our lives and said, this is what we want for our children. We became innovative teachers because we were discovering what basket weaving was, how to design and implement the programs in language and culture, and plus keep the curriculum that's needed for our students to fit into the other societies, in the greater society.
So I congratulate you, ladies. I congratulate you from my heart. You've struggled, you've worked hard, and you made it to this day. But this lady over here is the youngest sister in our family. And I looked last night, not one of us, I do not have that education or a degree or diploma or anything. Our little sister in our family, in the Fox family, did this. She quit school a long time ago, and I want to share this with you people. This is about healing, and this is what these ladies have gone through. I am proud of you, Gwen, and I love you, so do our brothers and sisters. And I am proud of all of you ladies tonight. Take what you've learned, apply it to yourself, apply it to your children, but most and foremost, what I'm slowly now beginning to realize is feel it. Feel what you have learned, and feel it within yourself and your heart, and share that and show that with your family and your friends.
I knew the experiences of being a university student with children, and all of the students had children, and the transition from the reserve-based program and going into an urban environment would be pretty startling to some students. They would not be prepared for it, and so that was one of my goals, that I wanted to see this program coming to Onion Lake. And with these students, after they complete their degrees, I see a lot of them working within our school system, or else within our Indian Child and Family Services program.
I would encourage anyone who is thinking about this to really have a good understanding of the cultures that they're working with, and to bring in people from those cultures, because they're the only ones that can really relate to the learnings that are going on in the classroom.
And as for like the students going back into their home communities, I know their own children benefited because of the training that their mothers were taking if they had children. The children benefited immediately. Like they looked at what they learned and they applied it to their everyday life. And the community benefited because these students went back and they had this training behind them, and they wanted to work with children, and the children in the community at large also benefited because they had these trained, qualified childcare workers working with them and for them.
I think you picked up curriculum, a different style of development that I haven't seen anywhere else. For us, we grew in terms of our home, in terms of the First Nations, and looking at how and what's happening over there in childcare and delivery, becoming more aware of what we did in the past and taking some pride in that. In history that we never forgot about, but you have it just beneath the surface. Well, everybody's nose is there now, and everybody walks a lot taller as far as the program. The partnership was a true partnership. When you're looking at it in terms of two people giving and taking and being open and flexible, I don't think I've seen a better partnership than that as far as an institution to a First Nation Tribal Council.
Now the official opening. That is not to be called local text anymore. now going to be called Apoosh Nest. Apoosh Nest. Eagle's Nest.
We can't learn everything from our books. We have to learn from our elders too as to how to raise our children, and then they'll learn how to raise their children, and goes on from there. So it's like applying two worlds as one.
The program that you're involved with, I think, is one of the most exciting educational activities that certainly I've had the pleasure to be involved with. It's a program that realizes that here at the university is some good information for you when you're thinking about working with children and families. But not all the information is here, and you all know that, and I know that. And what we're a part of is a process where we're redefining where good information, good knowledge comes from. And if we're working in our communities, we know that there's knowledge and information in the communities that we need to do our work better.
I love this field. I've loved the training I've taken. This daycare opening is great for the reserve and for the children to be in this setting. I've come to know the children very well, and it only enhances it to be in the program and to have the education. It also helped a lot with my two girls. They were still young then when I was going through the program, and all the things I learned in school I went home and practiced, and what a great asset.
If it wasn't here, I wouldn't have taken it. I wouldn't have had that opportunity. So, you know, it's like a dream come true, really. I've always wanted to be a teacher, so it was a perfect opportunity for me. I want to get a degree and work with the primary grades. He reads the books too, because he's new at being a father, and especially with the little ones, the older ones, you know, he's new to that too, so he helps me a lot with my homework.
This program is perhaps stands out among initiatives involving First Nations in that the focus is on the strengths of the community and what the community can bring positively into thinking about how to further the well-being of young children and their families.
One of the things that I find really interesting about the generative curriculum model is that the whole thing is sort of indeterminate. You're not exactly sure where it's going to go, how it's going to play out in each one of the communities. And in that sense, it's quite different from a lot of post-secondary education, where you have quite a clear idea on day one where you're going to try and get to as the instructor at the end of that term.
This program is a bicultural partnership, and it integrates ideas from largely Euro-Western research and theory and practices that have been proven as effective in largely Euro-Western middle-class settings, and offers those to students and instructors to consider and to think about whether or not those ideas match the ideas within their own culture, and whether the practices in the mainstream are likely to further the developmental goals that they have for their children. At the same time as cultural input from the community comes into every course through the participation of community elders and other community resource people.
I'm the oldest in Montgomery of all the women. Yeah, I should give them heck whenever they ask me to talk. What do the women do nowadays? I tell them, you know, because I can't even keep still myself, you know. I got to be doing something, doing this, or there's lots of things to be done.
This one.
How can I show the world that these are the things that are still, can still be utilized in a healthy way? And when I first went to them, their comment was, why now? You know, why do you want us, you know, old people? We've been shunned away from our community. It more or less sounded like they were being locked in there now. You know, our children have left us. We have no role. We're not recognized. We're not visible for the community. Most of the young people are too smart now. They're educated, and they won't listen. I said, who won't listen? And I would emphasize that we need you. We still need you. And when I started sharing with them, and talking with them, visiting them, they would come out. And also it would benefit them. Just sort of like breaking the ice, more so. And they like the idea of being recognized again, being visible again for the community, and also sharing with the young people.
Growing up off reserve and non-status Native, I always viewed myself as, you know, non-Native, that we weren't culturally active at all within my family system. But being with the elders within the CYC program and listening to them share stories for 2 years, it was just like, oh my God, you know, we were raised quite traditional too within our family system. So I was able to have a different reference point, you know, to acknowledge and to recognize that a lot of my grandmother's teachings had actually really channeled through, and my grandfather's had channeled through within our whole family system.
The elders are very, very pleased as to the response from the students. They're thrilled. The students, when they see an elder on the street, they acknowledge them. And this makes our elders very, very happy. It's at a point now where some of our students want to get some more information. They ask if they could go and meet with that elder. And quite a few of our elders have said, my door is open. So we have an open dialogue with the general community.
For the past 2 years, we've been reminded of the great power of the old people's voices, the great power of the old people's songs, the great power of the old people's sense of ritual that comes through each of us, through our ancestry. We at the university, of course, have been reminded of the need to recognize those very powerful gifts, the potential for those very powerful gifts. We asked old people to continue singing, to continue drumming, continue praying, and to continue giving advice.
We've had some instructors who really want students to master a lot of the material that's in the provided course packages, and other instructors who really want the students interacting with the elders and hearing a lot from the elders and constructing assignments for students that explore more of the Indigenous tradition.
Yeah. I think a lot of the students, when they first start into the generative curriculum, are they're not sure what this is about, because it's so much of their education has been based on the presentation of some final truths or some statements that are the real way to see the world. And the instructors and the whole environment is one that's saying that these are starting points rather than ending points. They have a sense that this is a different way of doing things, but they're not altogether clear what is this way. And also some questioning about, is it okay to do it this way? You know, is this genuine learning? Is this appropriate post-secondary education? But I think about between 6 to 12 months into the program, we begin to see some excitement mounting that, yes, this is okay, yes, I am learning, yes, I'm being challenged.
I see the process as very different, and I think that's what's been missing in very much of the programs that are meant to be really culturally sensitive or culturally appropriate to First Nations people across Canada. And we have programs out there for Aboriginal communities, but very often you have the mainstream sector with a few superficial add-ons, and we somehow think this is culturally relevant, when in fact it isn't. It really doesn't meet the needs of the community. And again, it comes from an expert-driven model. And I think the difference I've seen with the Nzenman project over the 2 years is that the Indigenous voice is really the core of the program, and the students through the process aren't given this knowledge. Rather, the knowledge has to come from the community, and the voice has to come out of the community, and how to work with their daycares and their kids and their families and each other.
We really try the approach where we're not the person who has all the answers. We're more like a facilitator than an instructor. And I highly, especially the second time through, I knew I was going to learn probably in some ways far more than what they were going to learn, and so that it was, an open classroom kind of situation, a shared experience kind of situation where I'll give you some of the stuff that I have to share and you give me what you have to share, and we're all going to come out of the experience having learned something. And to have that open, supportive line of thinking the whole way through the course is what opens up the material and what opens up the students, and so then it all just grows from there. And that's kind of what you were talking about, where it kind of moves out into community and it moves out into the elders, and you kind of become, the start of support.
The elders enjoyed that time with our group. They could sit there, they're full of humor, and they even recall some incidents in their lives that would cause them to think about what they had done, So it was really a good time, and the students wrote down what the elders said, and then they would hand those in, or they would use them for their essay writing or their exams, for the input for the generative curriculum.
I think some of our students will continue on to 3rd and 4th year. I think some of our students will join the workforce in youth centers. Some have expressed a real interest in that area. Some will be joining with preschool children. It really depends on where the student wants to take their coursework. But there is a wide variety of options available for the students, and I really think that the students need to follow their dream, follow their heart. That opportunity is there, and in whatever form they'll be caring for children and helping to build stronger communities.
In my life 2 years ago, it's what I needed. I needed a direction, It was a dream that I've wanted to do, was to find some kind of a program where everything would be in detail for me to help the youth in my community. And the whole purpose of my project was to enhance the self-esteem of the youth, give them something that's new, give them something that's challenging. I handpicked some of my youth that came through my house, to my home. I picked them because of the way their lifestyles were. They had no direction, no positive thing that anybody said about them, and I thought, I'm going to change that. I am definitely going to change that. What we did was to build a little puppet theater that the youth wrote out a play which has 5 scenes to it. This is Marge, who's the mother of Eric, and Eric is a troubled one. Like, he's making a choice here at the age of 16, what life he's going, what direction he's going to take. And he knows he's in deep trouble if his parents find out. And at the same time, here's Bill saying, well, come with me to a sweat, or let's go talk to your grandparents to help him straighten out his life. And each time I went to pick up the youth, I noticed the changes in their faces when they see me come into their homes. Their faces light up and their smiles, and I thought, wow, I'm really doing something here. And to have one of the youth say, this is going to be a good play. It's going to be a real good play when it's done. And I felt really good because that was my purpose, for them to give us something to challenge and something to complete, which we did. So I'm really proud of them, and I'm proud of myself also, because one of my dreams came true.